Hello, I'm Kenton Chance, and in this video we discuss media management in a globalized environment, opportunities and challenges of diversity. Media managers in today's globalized environment are faced with some peculiar challenges. Citizen journalism is redefining the traditional roles and expectations of the media. Additionally, media managers are confronted with the challenges of motivating in the same workplace practitioners from different generations. As globalization advances and the war for talented people rages, media owners are beginning to look outside their geographical and cultural borders. While recruiting internationally responds to some needs, it also presents its own unique challenges and opportunities.
Dr. Maria Tu is the director of the International Business Program at Ming Chuan University International College in Taiwan. She speaks to the practical challenges of managing in general.
Right now, there are a few things is you need to be a personal with the personal skills, the interpersonal skills, because you need to deal with people. And of course, it's in addition to the managerial skills that you know how to planning, organizing, even controlling. But I think interpersonal skills is one of the challenges that for most of managers to know. And the new challenges for the managers today, I think, would be working in the diverse environments, that you're working with people who have much larger age differences, and we see different genders working in our workforce, and also people from different backgrounds and cultures. I think this probably will be the major challenges for the managers today.
Can you speak a little bit more to the age differences and the cultural differences?
Okay, because as you probably know, that we usually call the younger generation as a Y generation or E generations, because they were raised up in the environment which is quite different from my generation. So like for people in my age, probably they will be the managers nowadays, and then so when they are working with the people in this new generation, they need to be aware of what's their needs and what's their capability and what's their potentials to make use of to contribute to the organization. However, because for the managers as well as the employees, they are from different backgrounds and different environments, so we see quite a lot of conflict in between the managers and employees.
Dr. Michael Stein is an assistant professor at Ming Chuan University International College. He teaches media and communications related courses. He says that in a multicultural work environment, there are issues to which managers need to pay particular attention.
Probably the most obvious one would be issues of language and culture. I imagine that especially for the position of the manager, you need to be aware of different multicultural environments and backgrounds, and issues like handling conflict, negotiating and trying to work in a collective form is something that the manager needs to be aware of and pay close attention to.
Do you think that because of the differences in culture, then the instances of conflict would be more in a multicultural environment?
Yeah, I think perhaps I would say that the instances of conflict may not be more, but the ways of handling those conflict might cause some more confusion. So there might be misinterpretation or miscommunication caused by the responses to that conflict. But yes, there would be also different identification of conflict to begin with.
Vincentian Peggy Carr has worked in the media for 25 years in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Taiwan. She says that some adjustments are needed when working in a new cultural environment.
In Taiwan, I have had to learn basically everything from scratch. I mean, my skills are my skills, and those could be applied in any situation. But working in the media and having to deal with political reports, societal reports, things like that, you have to develop over a period of time. You have to develop a sensitivity and an awareness of what the culture is like, what the politics is like, what is acceptable, what is not. Is learning to function in an entirely different situation, although you bring your skills to the situation and could use them, but in terms of the way you actually operate, you have to learn everything from the beginning again.
Carr, however, has not encountered any major conflicts while working in Taiwan.
Not nothing major. I mean, there's always, and we mostly joke about it, it's like in Taiwan, everybody uses American English. And I'm from a society where we grew up under a British educational system. So there are those differences, like, spelling and sometimes the way you say things and the way you phrase things sometimes it's different. But I mean, it's like healthy discussion. It's never really conflict.
American Andrew Ryan has been working at Radio Taiwan International for 10 years. The station broadcasts in 13 languages. It has a multinational, multiracial, multilingual, and multicultural workforce.
I mean, I think it's a great environment because we can interact on a lot of different topics. We can share experiences. We haven't run into a whole lot of conflict, and I think that's probably because we're kind of working towards the same goal. There can be miscommunication. But you have that in every organization.
In addition to work, I imagine that when you interact with people who have different cultural backgrounds, it must be somewhat of an enriching experience.
I think so. I mean, I've definitely taken a lot of things away from this job that I didn't expect that I would. And I think meeting people outside of work is particularly conducive to coming away with a cultural experience.
Have you found that people have different attitudes or approaches to their work based on their cultural background?
I think so, definitely. I mean, you can tell that in the work ethic. And I don't want to make broad generalizations, but I can give you maybe one example. It's a positive example, and that's the Japanese service. I mean, when I leave the station, sometimes I'll leave the station at maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and most of the people in the Japanese service are still there, or at least half of the people. So they kind of they also are responding to their listeners.
Carr's experience working in a diversified media environment has been an enriching one.
It's a good experience. It helps you to expand, to broaden your horizon and to be more aware of things outside of your own society.
The journalism and mass communication students at Ming Chuan University International College come from 25 different countries. They are likely to practice their craft in a diversified media organization. Carr offers some advice to them and other aspiring media practitioners.
You must have an open mind. I think that's the most important thing as a media professional in a multicultural environment. You have to start with an open mind. If you go into the media with a whole lot of preconceived ideas, you are likely to trip yourself up. Because as media workers, your job is to report what's happening. And to put it into context, of course, you have to put it into context. And sometimes you have to give some analysis of what is happening. But in order to be able to do that well and to serve the public well, you have to maintain an open mind.
Dr. Tu says that notwithstanding the challenges, a diversified workforce gives an organization a competitive advantage.
It's a controversial issue because we usually encourage a working environment should be a diverse working environment because then you can encourage creativities. You can have more inputs from people from different angles of looking at the situation. But in the meantime, it's a plus, but it's also a challenge. Maybe I won't say it's a cons, but it's a challenge because if as a manager, if you're not aware of that, you don't know how to really make use of their cultural backgrounds, it becomes a big hindrance to make use of them. So on one hand, most of organizations nowadays, they need to focus on to cope with a diverse workforce. But on the other hand, the managers, as I mentioned in the beginning, that they probably need to have a very good interpersonal skills and good communication skills in order to be friends with all these employees, so they would be able to work together towards the organization goal.